Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to the interview portion of today's News in Depth with Jim Rooney, County Assessor. How you doing, Jim?
Hello, Tom.
Good to see you again.
Good, yeah, you too.
Seems like I get you on the program quite a lot.
Every once in a while.
Okay, and this is a good time. You know, I'm not quite sure why, but during this time, news in the county kind of slows down. There's not as much going on, it seems like, and so we have an opportunity to talk to you about things probably a little bit more in depth. And of course, you know, you're the assessor. You've been elected as the assessor. Why do you think that's an elected office?
You know, that's a really good question, and it's very important that what happens is our state constitution says the assessor in every county, along with the DA and the sheriff, have to be elected. And the main reason the assessor needs to be elected is because you don't want the people who spend the money to be the people who appoint the assessor who decides how much money is coming in. Keeps the people who spend it separate from the person who is deciding how much people pay. And that's very important. I don't think people would want an assessor who had to answer to the Board of Supervisors who appointed him, who might say, hey, revenues are down, we need revenues up a little bit. I'm an independent elected official, and I decide what assessments are going to be, whether they're high or low. Right now they're going down. They went up strongly the first half of the last decade. We raised them as we saw them going up. We reflected the real estate market. When assessments go down, a lot of county, the Board of Supervisors has been real good, but a lot of county people have said, geez, Jim, our revenues are down because assessments are down. Assessments are down because the real estate market is down, and I am going to reflect that as long as I'm assessor, regardless of what the revenues are to the county. So I can be very independent, and I can do this, lower assessments like every other assessor in the state, based on the real estate market, which is down. And so I think that's the reason it's an elected position, which makes it independent of the people who spend the money.
So it gives, in a way, you're accountable. I don't think you saying this when you talked about it, but you're accountable to the people of the county that you're in, and if they don't feel you're doing a correct job or reflecting, you know, the truth and values for property values and things, then they have a way of taking you out.
Yeah, that's right. Now, if the people who are paying the property taxes essentially don't think that they're being treated fairly, their option is to vote me out. Okay. And
on the other hand, I think is what you were trying to stress was the side of it was saying that you weren't a tool for the government in order to raise funds that you might be able to be, and you with the way it's set up, you can't be pressured to reflect their desires.
Yeah, I can't, and I want to say the Board of Supervisors in this county has been very good. They've never said to me that they wanted revenues up. But I want to tell you, there was somebody a few years ago, a union member who came to me and said, you know, if you guys would raise assessments a little bit, we could get higher wages. I looked at this person and I said, well, why don't we start with your house? And that was the last conversation we ever had about raising assessments.
Okay. So let's go to another thing.
Sure.
Recently, I think you were just at a Cal Assessors meeting. Am I saying that right?
Well, actually, it was a meeting with the Board of Equalization, the State Board of Equalization, which is an elected body statewide, and they summoned all the county assessors in the state to meet with them once a year. And I'm the incoming president of the Assessors Association. The president couldn't be there, so I addressed the Board of Equalization. And there was the chairman of the Board of Equalization, his name is Board Member Horton. He's out of Los Angeles. There's 5 board members. I got to give them my concerns and the concerns of assessors and property taxpayers throughout the state. And it was kind of funny. The meeting started out, he was reading something, and he said, I want to introduce the next speaker will be the incoming president of the Assessors Association. He misread my name. He said, it is Assessor Romney, which Rooney and Romney look very similar. So he introduced me as Romney, which got kind of a good laugh throughout the place. But I was able to tell them, stress to them that these this fire tax, it's just been a huge boondoggle. It's a lot of people complaining about it. However, we also understood that it wasn't the Board of Equalization's fault that it is such a mess. It's the fault essentially of the legislature, who has put this on the backs of the taxpayers in rural and foothill counties. We're the ones paying the big bulk of this bill. And it has not been administered very well. There have been problems with it. A number of taxpayers in Amador County paid the bill, had the canceled checks, and were receiving demand notices from the Board of Equalization. Pay or you're going to be fined with interest. And the Board of Equalization, they had a flaw in their billing. But I want to tell you, I called them up, told them the situation. They had it resolved within hours. So in that regard, they did fix the problem, and they caught it early on. So even though they did have a problem, made a mistake, they were very good in getting it corrected very fast.
Okay, so what does the Board of Equalization do, Jim? You could speak for them a little bit.
I'm going to tell you, it's a lousy name for a government agency. Board of Equalization.
Maybe a good name for the government now.
Yeah, it's a bureaucratic name, and the idea is it should be called the Board of Taxation, because they deal with property taxes, they deal with income taxes, they deal with sales taxes. And the idea behind equalization is they want to make things fair. They want to make things equal for everybody. So they call themselves the Board of Equalization, which is a euphemism for Board of Taxation. It should be taxation. And there's 5 elected members on the Board of Equalization from all parts of the state. Our elected representative is George Runner for our portion of the state. And they are essentially the guiding body of the Board of Equalization. They, when there are decisions to be made about property taxes, how they're supposed to be administered, or how fees are to be collected, they're the ones that give direction and tell the staff how to proceed in these. And they also, this Board of Equalization, they have groups that go out to every assessor's office about every 4 years, look how you're doing your job, and they critique you, and they'll give you they'll tell you what you're doing right, things you're maybe not doing right, things you're doing wrong, things you could correct. And the larger counties don't like that. They don't like to be told what to do. But a smaller county like ours, where we don't have the technical staff, they come in and they say, these things you're doing a little wrong, and these things you need to change. And to tell you the truth, I appreciate it, because we've made changes which have actually benefited the taxpayers in this county. So no, they're a bit of a bureaucratic organization. But as incoming president, I kind of have their ear this year. So if there's something that is not fair to the smaller counties, I'm going to be right there whispering in their ear saying, hey, we don't care for this, or we would like this changed. And they listen. Okay.
Well, this might be a good time to take a break, and then we can come back and talk to a little bit about what you had told them about some of the ideas behind the fire fee and the lack of input from assessors into the process. So we'll be back with Jim Rooney and more right after this break. Stay with us here on TSPN's News in Depth.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.